In a world slowly healing from the scars of war, Jamie and Lizzie found their own healing in each other. Their love, forged in the hardest of times, stood as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope and love. The war had ravaged Europe, leaving behind a trail of destruction and heartbreak. Amidst the ruins and the rubble, there were countless stories of courage, resilience, and unexpected love. One such story began in a small makeshift hospital on the outskirts of Paris during the harsh winter of 1943. Captain James "Jamie" Thornton lay on the narrow cot, his leg bandaged heavily and his face pale from loss of blood. He had been caught in an explosion, the shrapnel tearing through his flesh and leaving him incapacitated. The medics had worked tirelessly to stabilize him before transporting him to the field hospital, where he now awaited further treatment. Jamie's thoughts were a haze of pain and regret. He was a decorated officer, having seen the worst of humanity in the trenches and the battlefields. Yet, nothing had prepared him for the sense of helplessness that now consumed him. As he drifted in and out of consciousness, his mind wandered back to his home in England, to the green fields, and the laughter of his younger sister. He wondered if he would ever see them again. Nurse Elizabeth, Lizzie Harrington, had been at the hospital for 6 months, but it felt like a lifetime. The endless stream of injured soldiers, the cries of pain, and the overwhelming sense of loss had taken a toll on her. Yet she remained steadfast in her duty, her compassion unwavering. Lizzie had always wanted to be a nurse, inspired by her mother, who had served during the Great War. She believed in the power of healing, both physical and emotional, and she gave her all to the men who needed her care. On a particularly cold morning, Lizzie received Jamie's case. She read through his file, noting the severity of his injuries. As she approached his cot, she saw a man who, despite his wounds, had an air of quiet strength about him. His eyes fluttered open as she adjusted his bandages. "Hello, Captain Thornton. I'm Nurse Harrington, but you can call me Lizzie. How are you feeling?" Jamie managed a weak smile. "Like I've been run over by a tank, nurse." Lizzie chuckled softly. "That's understandable. You've been through a lot. But don't worry, we're going to take good care of you." Days turned into weeks, and Jamie's condition slowly improved under Lizzie's diligent care. She spent hours by his side, changing his bandages, administering medicine, and talking to him. They spoke of their homes, their dreams, and the lives they hoped to return to once the war ended. Jamie found solace in Lizzie's presence. Her kindness and gentle touch were a stark contrast to the brutality of the battlefield. He admired her strength and dedication, and he found himself looking forward to their conversations. Lizzie, too, felt a growing connection with Jamie. His resilience and courage were inspiring, and she admired the way he faced his recovery with determination and humor. As they shared their stories and hopes, she felt a bond forming between them that went beyond that of nurse and patient. One evening, as Lizzie was finishing her rounds, she found Jamie sitting up in bed, his eyes gazing out of the small window beside his cot. The moonlight cast a soft glow on his face, highlighting the handsome features that had become so familiar to her. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked, taking a seat beside him. Jamie shook his head. "Just thinking." "About home?" "About a lot of things," he replied, turning to face her. "Mostly about how lucky I am to have had you as my nurse. You've done more than just heal my wounds, Lizzie. You've given me hope." Lizzie felt her heart swell at his words. "And you've given me a reason to keep going, Jamie. Seeing you fight so hard to recover reminds me why I became a nurse in the first place." There was a moment of silence as they looked at each other, the unspoken emotions hanging in the air. Jamie reached out and took her hand in his touch warm and reassuring. "Lizzie, I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I care about you deeply, more than I've ever cared for anyone." Lizzie's eyes filled with tears, her heart pounding in her chest. "I care about you too, Jamie, so much." As the war raged on outside, within the walls of the small hospital, two hearts found solace and love in each other. They knew their circumstances were uncertain, and the future was unpredictable, but they also knew that they had found something rare and precious in the midst of chaos. The war eventually came to an end, and Jamie was sent back to England to continue his recovery. Lizzie stayed on at the hospital, her heart heavy with the separation, but filled with hope for their future. They wrote letters to each other, their love growing stronger with each word penned. Months later, when Jamie was finally able to walk again, he made his way back to Paris, determined to find the woman who had captured his heart. When he arrived at the hospital, Lizzie was waiting for him, her eyes filled with tears of joy.